Welcome to the first and hopefully not the last video where my hope is to share some of the things that I do with Holy Macro Photography. The idea behind this video isn't to teach you or show you any specific techniques or to advertise for any specific software or hardware. It's just to give you an idea of why I do what I do. The first video is dealing with what I call a fin clam. There's no such thing in nature, but you'll see that the chunk of clam that I found on the north side of PEI when I was walking Paco on the beach sort of reminds me of a fish fin. And what I want you to appreciate from taking this image that I just took with my phone is how small this piece of shell is. And the idea is that in the end I produce images that can be printed up to 60 inches wide. So this is my setup in the guest bathroom. Typically I do this in the garage in the summertime, but I have an iPad that's hooked up to a electronic rail system. There you see the little piece of shell sitting on a piece of plastic for the camera. I have a Nikon full frame camera that has a 2x macro lens. And to start the process, I set the camera just outside of the focus of the front of the subject. In this case, it's the clamshell shard. And I hit start. And then what you'll see, so out of frame, I'm going to push forward. What you'll see on the back of the camera is something called focus peaking. And these are the red lines that you see moving across the clamshell as the camera on top of the rail is moving forward. So I will keep my thumb on the forward, essentially the forward button, until the camera has moved completely through the subject. So you'll see those red lines start to fade into the background, and once they reach, once I no longer see the focus peaking, you'll see that I go back to the iPad, I hit set end, which essentially tells the software that this is the range of that I want to take a photo of. And now what it's doing is that it's the electronic rail system is now bringing the camera backwards to the starting point that I set. And once that's done, all I do is hit run and the camera starts taking an image. And in this case, the camera will take an image every 40 microns. And I believe the number of total images for this particular piece was 235. So this actually took about 35 minutes and I've sped it up 50 or 60 times. And if you look closely, you'll see that it's going through the different images and showing the focus peaking. And the idea behind this is that each image has a very shallow depth of field. And when you stack all of those together, I'll show you a piece of software where I do that, you end up with an image that's clear from the face all the way to the back. So it's just in the process of doing that. Once all the images are captured, you'll see in the next screen, I download them or I import them into Lightroom. Once they're in Lightroom, I export them into a folder, and then I open them in a piece of software called Zareen Stacker. Again, this took about 45 minutes, and I've sped it up 50 times. On the left-hand side, you're seeing individual images, and on the right-hand side, I've sped it up a little bit too much, I think, but you can essentially see the image being constructed out of all the different slices. From there, I open the image into Photoshop. I do some color balances and bring out some of the details in the piece. And then I will cut that out of the background and move it to a new frame. In this case, I always start with a frame that's 16 inches by 20 inches. And then what I've done is I've duplicated the shell, flipped it a couple different times, different ways, and essentially have made a round object that you would never see in nature, but that's the abstract component. So then I go through I tried black and white, and then I will overlay different textures, and then when you change the blending of those textures, you'll see that the subject turns different shades and different colors and things like that. And I try and find textures that sort of bring out the subject without leaving just a bare, black, boring background. So this is the final result. So this image is 16 by 20, and once the final result is done, I upload it to my website, which is www.holymacrophotography.com. And from there, I link the images to a site called Pictorum. And this is the print-on-demand site that I'm using. This is an example of I believe it's a 24 by 36 inch framed print. And the next example is I believe a 42 by 60 or a 40 by 60 canvas print. And the nice thing about Pictorum is it allows you to look at the images as they would be in a surrounding, so that you can look at what the size of image that you choose would look like in your particular space. So I hope you enjoyed that. It gives you some insight into what I do with incredibly small things and how I try and use them to make art. So until next time, thanks for listening. Bye.